Hi everyone, it's Peter again, and today we're going to be talking about how Botox affects the body. Botox, or botulism toxin, can either be a poison, well, I guess it is a poison, but it's often ingested and can cause major problems in the body, or it has been actually used medically as well. So we're going to be talking about both of these. Now, basically, Botox affects the cholinergic neuroeffector junctions, okay? And at these junctions, at the axon terminals, we have choline and acetyl-CoA using choline acetyltransferase forming acetylcholine. And this acetylcholine is basically put into various vesicles, okay? So these synaptic vesicles hold acetylcholine until there is a depolarization of the neuron. Once the depolarization comes down, there's a calcium influx, and it causes the acetylcholine to be released into the synaptic cleft and acting on nicotinic and muscarinic receptors, which target chemical synapses between neurons, neuromuscular junctions, or neuroeffector junctions. Okay, so botulism toxin, when it's in the body, will bind to synaptobrevin, which are basically little proteins that allow the synaptic vesicles to attach to the presynaptic membrane on the neuron, okay? And what these proteins will do is aid the release of the vesicle. Botulism toxin inhibits these proteins from doing so, and thereby keeps all the acetylcholine in the synaptic vesicles in the presynaptic neuron. Now, what does this mean? Well, basically, it means the shutdown of any of the reactions that this neuron will have on either muscles or organs or things like that. So, let's figure out what the symptoms are. Okay, so symptoms, you have difficulty breathing, slurred speech, difficulty swallowing and muscle weakness, dry mouth, double or blurred vision, drooping eyelids, and also vomiting, stuff like that. Let's talk about why you would get difficulty breathing, slurred speech, difficulty swallowing, and muscle weakness. Well, basically, if you look back up here, it can affect neuromuscular junctions. Now, acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter that is used at neuromuscular junctions. So, if you stop that, you're basically causing the muscle to fail, okay? So there won't be any movement in the muscle if you block acetylcholine from transferring over. So, for instance, difficulty breathing, if your diaphragm isn't getting any stimulation, it's not going to have any contractions, and therefore you're not going to be able to breathe, and you're going to need, a respirator to do it for you to survive. So often people who have botulism toxin in their body have respiratory failure. Okay? And of course this can affect other muscles, causing slurred speech, difficulty swallowing, and muscle weakness. Now let's talk about how you can get dry mouth. Now if you remember from your classes on the autonomic nervous system, if you've had any, anyway, the secretions in the body, although under sympathetic control, it is a cholinergic neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, that is basically affecting them. So, in the fight or flight situations, I mean, you're going to be sweating, you're going to be salivating, you're going to be, your body's going to go into overdrive for that stuff. However, when you have botulism toxin in you, it's actually going to cause dry mouth because it'll block the acetylcholine from targeting these salivary glands or sweat glands. If you remember in this, the sympathetic nervous system, it's predominantly norepinephrine that's a neurotransmitter, but when it comes to sweat glands and secretory areas in the body, it's cholinergic. Okay, so double or blurred vision. This also has to do with muscles around the eyes that the parasympathetic nervous system innervates, and therefore causes the change in the muscle, contraction or relaxation. And drooping eyelids, it's the same thing, basically your muscle failure. Now, botulism toxin can also be used medically, and basically what happens is there's local injections into various parts, into various muscles. You can't just take it orally because if you do, you're going to have respiratory failure, as we mentioned before. So basically, you're just using local injections. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be pronouncing this properly, but blepharospasms. Basically, this is excessive blinking due to involuntary and sustained contractions of muscles around the eye. So basically, you'd have a lot of twitching, and the injections would target the extraocular muscles, and basically leading to like muscle paralysis, which would stop the excessive twitching and blinking. Cervical dystonia is a neurological movement disorder, and it also has sustained muscle contractions, which lead to twisting, repetitive movements, or abnormal postures, usually around the neck area. But you can also use Botox to paralyze some of these muscles and stop this sustained muscle contractions, basically giving you some relief. It's actually a very painful condition. Strabismus is basically when the eyes aren't aligned properly, so you may have one of your eyes looking straight forward and the other one out to the right or something like that. But you would target with the Botox some of the muscles that would some of the muscles around the eye that would help move the eye to make it more aligned. Achalasia is basically a failure of the lower esophageal sphincter to relax, and it can also be used for this. In cosmetics, many people use it to relax the skin to get rid of wrinkles. Now, a little different, hyperhydrosis. As we mentioned earlier with the dry mouth, hyperhidrosis is also, well, basically, it's a target of a cholinergic neurotransmitter. Okay, it's sweat glands. So, it is a muscarinic receptor, and if you have, say for instance, excess sweating in your feet, if you inject some Botox around those glands, then it'll stop the release of acetylcholine from affecting them and thereby stopping your hyperhidrosis. Okay, so I hope that helps. Tell me what you think, leave a comment please, and yeah, subscribe if you like my videos. Thanks a lot. Bye.